Down.
Okay, I want to.
You're going to sit on the other chair? Okay. So, I decided that I was going to do my first vlog because there's several vlogs going around and they're answering questions about books. And since I love books and I like to talk about books and I like to hear other people talk about books, I thought that I would participate in this one. So this is my very first vlog with a V, I guess, ever. And Eli and Emerson are wanting to be a part of this, so we'll see how this goes. So the first question is, what is your most valuable book? So I don't actually have that many books that are worth anything, but the one that I value and think, well, it's worth $85 is what I could sell it for. But it's a book of poems by Polly Murray called Dark Testament, and it's out of print, and I adore Polly Murray. And I'm on the lookout for her out-of-print books all the time, and I found this one on paperback swap, so I got it for free, which was an added bonus, and I was so excited. And it's this old, little, tiny, sort of ratty thing, and Marcus couldn't understand my excitement. Literary pet peeves. So I don't actually have that many pet peeves. Emerson is being my camera person. Don't touch. Thank you. I don't have that many pet peeves. Probably one of my biggest ones is when there's a series and the author seems to forget what she or he has written about in the previous books. And the biggest example I can think of this is the Twilight Saga. So the first 3 books I felt like she remembered what she was talking about. You get to book 4 and it's all her rules that she's created for this make-believe world. And these vampires are sort of thrown out of the window. And it drove me crazy, and I wanted to throw the book across the room. I didn't, though, because I don't throw books. But I wanted to. I also have a really hard time with the cozy mysteries. My mother-in-law knows this, much to her sadness, because she reads a lot of cozy mysteries, but I just can't wrap my head around so many murders happening in tiny little towns. And there's this one series that's about Episcopal priest. And this is the only cozy mystery series I've ever attempted, and I've read 3 of them, I think. And oh my lord, it's crazy. She's this Episcopal priest that can land helicopters and these murders happen and she is all over the place doing crazy stuff, and I appreciate that she's a female priest and she's doing cool things, but it's so implausible and she's so not pastoral. And so I think as a pastor I feel extra offended about that one, but I don't know. My reading spot, I would take you to my reading spot, but I'm afraid if I move, Eli and Emerson are going to cause extra problems. But for the most part, I read in our more formal living room. It's always the room that's clean because we don't let Eli and Emerson play in there. So for the most part, their toys don't take over that room. And it also, this is going to sound strange, but it reminds me of my grandparents' house because the table that came with the parsonage is very much like my grandparents' table from when I was little. And they had a formal living room too, and it was always very clean. Well, their whole house was clean, but it was a more formal area where we didn't really hang out often. And so when I go in there, it's clean, it's quiet, there's 2 couches, and I like to get my space heater. Eli, stop, please. I like to get my space heater because I'm cold all the time. And my blanket, and my book, and my glass of water, my Dr. Pepper, and I like to read in there. And Marcus is in the other room playing video games. We usually do this after the kids go to bed. It's our quiet time. Literary confessions, things that I do that would drive other book lovers crazy. This one is so easy for me. Because I spend some time on message boards and things, I know that people get crazy about spoilers. They do not want books to be spoiled or movies. And spoilers, stop, honey, Eli. Probably do some editing. Spoilers do not bother me at all. In fact, sometimes, this is going to sound really horrifying to many people, but sometimes I seek out spoilers because I want to know what happens. For me, it makes reading the book more enjoyable. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And I don't do this for every book. Some books I have no desire to know how it ends, but for many books, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all to read a spoiler. So often on threads where it says, you know, spoilers, even if I haven't read the book or I want to read the book, I'll click and see if it's worth my time. And often it is. And it makes reading the book for me that much more enjoyable. And I know that that's blasphemy for so many people, but I don't care. My guilty pleasure book genre. I don't really feel guilty about reading much of anything. Although when I was in grad school, it did surprise some people to find out that there was a few chick lit books that I enjoy, but I enjoy so many different kinds of books, and I especially enjoy nonfiction, but sometimes my brain is tired and I just want to read something that requires very little thought and it's just sort of fluffy and fun. And so for me, that's probably the chick lit stuff, like Something Borrowed and Something Blue by Emily Giffin. Those are some of the very first chick lit books that I ever read, thanks to a friend who introduced me to them while I was studying abroad in Spain. My most fangirl related moment to books. I haven't had a lot of fangirl moments, but I did get to go to a Jodi Picoult reading, or book signing and lecture and reading. I'm not even sure if that's how you say her name. I've always said it Picoult, but I think that's wrong. I was very excited about this. She was the very first author I ever got to meet in real life, and so I was super excited about that, and I sat in the front row and I raised my hand first to ask the first question, and I felt like a little kid a little bit because I was very excited to be meeting an author whose books I had read. And I was really bummed to find out that the year Emerson's also giving some commentary over here. I was bummed to find out that John Grisham and Jodi Picoult gave a joint sort of lecture thing at Yale the year after I left. And John Grisham has been my go-to guy since I was in the 6th grade, so I would have loved to see the two of them together. And I know that for some of the literary people, those aren't great, literary people, but I love their books. They're fun. I like them. Eli Stone, stop. What are you doing? Reread books the most. So this one was really easy for me because the two books I have reread the most are A Time to Kill by John Grisham. It's not a particularly happy or uplifting book, but it's a book that I have read over and over. And the autobiography of Malcolm X. The autobiography of Malcolm X transformed my life and sort of my understanding of racial relations in the United States. And I think that Malcolm X is a fascinating character. He's actually someone that I greatly admire for a lot of different reasons that I could go on about, but I just really like his autobiography. And I have the new book that has been put out about him that I'm excited to read. I haven't gotten around to it yet. How many books do you own? So I actually went through and I counted because I didn't know and I was curious. And this is probably going to make my husband think that I have too many. But I have 827 books. But in my defense, some of those are commentaries for my work. And so commentaries, I don't know if I should have counted them in the thing. Eli, please stop, baby. I don't know if I should have counted commentaries, but I did. So I have 827 books. And I love them and want more. And e-readers make me sad, but that's a different conversation.